So hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. I'm Dawn.
And I'm John, and together we're the two running brooms. So I started running at the age of 29, and a few weeks after I managed to run a 10k in a time of 53 minutes and 18 seconds. But with a little bit of thinking and some smart training, I was able, within 4 years, to progress that to a time of 33 minutes and 41 seconds. So in this video, I'll be taking you through the 5 key things I learned on that running journey from 53 minutes to 33 minutes for the 10k. Some of these points may be ones you've seen other YouTubers and coaches talk about in the past, but are well worth reiterating. But I think at least a couple of them are ones that you won't commonly come across on training tips videos such as this. And if you stick around to the end of this video, Dawn will be coming in with a piece of advice particularly aimed at female runners out there. So if you do find any of this advice useful, please consider giving this video a like. If you're new to this channel and you'd like to hear more training tips, coaching advice and coverage from our races and parkruns, then please consider subscribing. So the first thing I did on that improvement journey was to get myself a consistent and progressive training plan. So I'll just tell you what I think consistency is and what it isn't. Consistency doesn't have to mean running every single day. You might choose to, like we do when we're running well, but you may choose not to. What it does mean is following a similar structure week after week, doing the right things to build up those layers of fitness. There's no point doing, say, 35 miles one week, then 5 the next, then 28 the next, then 10 the week after. There are many different training plans out there you can access online or via coaches, like some of the people we coach. But broadly, you want to be looking at one that has the following elements in it: a longer run, of perhaps up to 90 minutes, some threshold or tempo work, some faster interval work at around 10k goal pace, and then plenty of easy running at around 70 to 75% of your maximum heart rate, or zone 2. Ideally, this plan should last somewhere between 12 and 16 weeks and build up both the mileage and the intensity gradually week by week. Many coaches and runners also like to include a cutback week every 3 or 4 weeks to let the body absorb the training and build for the next microcycle of 3 or 4 weeks training to come. Then what you should find as you lay a training block upon training block year after year, those 10k times gradually come down like mine did. Because obviously I didn't make that 20-minute jump in one fell swoop. You'll also find your progress isn't linear. For example, after that first 10k of 53 minutes, the next one I did about 5 months later, I managed a time of 44 minutes. Then gradually chipped away to sub 40, and that final jump from a 35-minute 10k to a 33-minute 10k took me about a year and a half. But layering up those training blocks is vitally important. So the first thing, folks, beginning with C, consistency. So the second key element is to get your prehab and rehab right. And what do I mean by that? I mean that if you just continue running and running and running, we're doing nothing else to strengthen and condition your body, you will eventually get injured. It happened to me. So what you ideally need to be doing is some strength work, either in the gym or just using your own body weights at home, and some conditioning work to get your body ready for that intense effort of the 10k race. At the time I was making those big improvements, my running club had a weekly circuits class, which I went to, which I think helped things immeasurably. I also tended to do a lot of running off-road, not extreme fells and rocks, but just nice buffed up field paths and trails. And I think that helped build those little muscles in the ankles and knees, which is so important for stability and conditioning when running. The other thing that's important to do before any sessions or harder runs is a proper warm-up with drills. So the protocol we follow, and the one we get the athletes we coach to do too, is called the ramp principle. That's raise your body temperature and heart rate with a steady jog, activate those key muscle groups ready for hard work, mobilise your hip joints so your legs can move freely and fluidly, and then potentiate. Do a specific drill to get your body ready for faster running. And it's also extremely important, and this is one thing I've been very guilty of over the years, is your rehab from running. So once you've done a run, particularly a hard run, you need to make sure that you're getting some good protein and carbs inside your body, and if possible, foam rollering or massage gun in those legs to promote recovery for the next run and the next hard session. And on top of that, we'd also recommend getting regular treatment from a sports massage therapist. They'll be able to give early identification of any knots and niggles building up that could potentially become very damaging and lead to injury and more expense for physiotherapists further down the line. So the second thing you need to do, prehab and rehab work. So next tip is to choose the correct 10k race for your PB attempt. But surely all 10k's are equal. But to paraphrase from George Orwell, some are more equal than others. I'd advise choosing a course that has a good reputation in your local area for being flat, for having a good depth of field for you to race in, and for getting the results processed and uploaded reliably. You may wish in your training block to throw in perhaps a tune-up 10k race, or perhaps a 5k race or park run if there's one in your area, to get used to practicing those race day logistics, which we'll come on to in a minute. So the race I did my 33:41 at was called the Leeds Abbey Dash. It still takes place today up here in Yorkshire. But be sure to check out local internet forums, running clubs and other social media groups to find out what are widely considered the fastest 10k races in your area. So point 3, make a good choice for your goal 10k PB attempt. So having done several weeks of training to get 10k race fit, you do not want to lose it all in the week beforehand. So it's so important to get what we call that taper correct. Tapering for a 10k means taking about a week to cut down on the volume and some of the intensity that your body has become used to, but not totally, so you become very sluggish by race day. So my advice would be to keep in your taper week the same number of runs as you would normally run, but I would cut down on the amount of mileage and the amount of intensity. In fact, I'll give you one taper session I like to do on the Tuesday or perhaps a Wednesday, assuming that your 10k race is on a Sunday. And that is to run about 5 minutes at half marathon effort, what we call tempo. Then take a 2-minute jog recovery. I then like to do perhaps 5 times 1 minute at your goal 10k pace for the Sunday, with a minute jog recovery between each. And then to end that session with 4 or 5 100-metre strides, accelerating up to about 95% of maximum effort. So point 4, make sure you have a good and proper taper so you are fit and fresh for the day of your 10k race. And look who's joined me for this afternoon's run. So, my 5th and final point for achieving a 10k PB is to get the race day logistics right. It will be a sad state of affairs if you spent 12 to 16 weeks doing all that hard training, tapering correctly, get your diet and nutrition right, all your foam rolling and stretching conditioning, to throw it all away in the hour or 2 before the race. So if you're getting public transport to your race, check for bus or train times and cancellations. If you're driving, check for traffic conditions before you set off and before you're due to set off, just in case there's roadworks or some sort of delay. Read the race organiser's instructions about parking arrangements. Nothing worse than getting to a race thinking I'm going to park there and you're not because the car park's full or closed. Toilets. Check the race organiser has them. If so, where are they? What the queue's likely to be like. You don't want to have no warm-up before the race because you're standing in a toilet queue for 30 minutes. Check there is somewhere to do your warm-up. Do you know where that's going to be, particularly if you're in a big city race where people are often crowded and penned in?
Yeah, there's often when you go to a big city race, you could be stood in your pen for 30 minutes.
If you've got friends or family coming with you, check about meeting points at the end You don't want to be stressing during your race about, oh, where'll my family be? Oh, I should have told them. So make sure you control all the controllables. So when that gun goes, all you need to concentrate on is executing that fantastic 10k race. If your number has been posted out before the race, make sure you take it with you. You don't want to be wasting valuable time scratching around trying to find a spare number.
Don't forget the pins as well.
Yes, not every race organiser provides pins to pin your number on. In fact, my very first 10k race back in 1999, at 53 minutes, I didn't have a clue. Didn't read the race organised instructions and actually ran round with my number in my hand.
Really? So ladies, my one tip for you is around the menstrual cycle. Know what your cycle is. Over the years I've tracked mine. So by tracking my cycle, I've been able to manage how I run. I know when I feel bad and I know when I feel good. So by knowing that, I've been able to book my races, or enter my races I should say, when I know I'm going to be in a good phase of that menstrual cycle. During your menstrual cycle, you will have times where you probably have water retention, weight gain, and all these things can heavily affect a race performance. So avoiding those days when that's happening is definitely worth doing. There's no point putting all that effort in, all the things that John has mentioned, and then turning up on the day feeling absolutely rubbish. So by tracking your cycle, you can then look at what days are good, what days are bad, and you will normally find a pattern. So advice number 6 is for the ladies: track your cycle.
So we hope you've enjoyed this video on how to crack racing that faster 10k. If you have, please give this video a like. If you are new to this channel and would like further input on training, racing and our own running journey, please consider subscribing. We'll put out plenty of content each week. So until next week,
keep on keeping on.
Keep on keeping on.